Until our chair gets here, I've been asked to call us to order, so I will call this meeting to order. And there is a motion that I need to read. Thank you. The Board of Education will now conduct a closed session as permitted by KRS 61.8101K of the Open Meetings Act and KRS 156.557.6C for the purpose of preliminary and informative discussions regarding the evaluation of the superintendent. May I have a motion to enter into executive session? By Gail Logan Strange, in a second. By Ms. Lister. All those in favor? It is unanimous. We are in closed session. Thank you.
The Board of Education met in executive session for the purpose of preliminary and formative discussions regarding the evaluation of the superintendent pursuant to KRS 61.810(1K) of the Open Meetings Act and KRS 156.5576C. No action was taken. Is there a motion to approve the 2024-2025 final board summative evaluation of Superintendent Marty Polio? Mr. Craig, seconded by Mr. Bass. All in favor? Ayes have it. Thank you. Welcome to the June 24th meeting of the Jefferson County Board of Education. Please join us for our traditional moment of silence. Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Board Member Lister will read the district vision statement. I hope you can recite it like Ms. Duncan.
I don't think so. Big shoes to fill. All Jefferson County Public School students graduate prepared, empowered, and inspired to reach their full potential and contribute as thoughtful, responsible citizens of our diverse, shared world.
Thank you. Chief Carolyn Callahan will present tonight's recognitions.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here tonight. Great things happen every day inside every JCPS school, and our recognitions are one way of highlighting those amazing accomplishments. Okay, if you have seen a TARC bus driving around town with amazing artwork on it, you have these JCPS students to thank and congratulate for it. 10 JCPS students are featured on a custom TARC bus wrap. They were named winners of the TARC Design a Bus contest. Some of our students have their drawings with us. Hi, great job. Our students up here, we have Gregory from Brandeis Elementary, Braylon from Lockoff Elementary, Kennedy from Louisville Male, Sophia from Lockoff Elementary, Leanne from St. Matthews Elementary, Willie from Lockoff Elementary, Lena from No Middle School, Zachariah from Lockoff Elementary, Nora from Hazelwood Elementary, and Piper from Lockoff Elementary. And these students did such a fantastic job highlighting how they can cultivate healthy neighborhoods. So congratulations, everyone. Amazing work. Keep drawing. You're so talented. Next tonight, we honor Tohan Kumar, who recently completed the 4th grade at Great House. He won first place in the National Perennial Math Finals. More than 130 students from across the country participated in that online competition, and right here from JCPS is our winner, national winner. He competed in a regional online tournament earlier in the school year and placed in the top 3. That is what qualified him, and we are so proud of him. Congratulations. And tonight, a big congratulations to Mazik Middle School on its 3rd place finish in the National Academic Quiz Tournament's Middle School Quiz Bowl Tournament. This is believed to be the highest finish ever for a Kentucky middle school team. Mazik placed 3rd out of 160 teams, and Mazik was also the only middle school to compete at the high school national championship tournament in Atlanta this year as well. So just incredible. We have Sriharsh Jala, Dheeraj Javadi, Zachary Rara, and Braden Snyder. Congratulations. Great job, Mazik. So we do have one more recognition tonight. As you all know, this is Dr. Polio's final board meeting as superintendent at Jefferson County Public Schools. He doesn't know, yep. After nearly 3 decades with JCPS as a coach and a teacher, principal, superintendent, he's taking on a new challenge. We wish him the best, and we did put together a brief video highlighting just some of his time since he's been superintendent.
I love my teachers, I love my school, and I love our new superintendent.
Please give a round of applause for our new superintendent, Dr. Marty Polio.
I'm excited for the future of Jefferson County Public Schools. I really am. We have a lot of work to do. We really do. And I've said this many times. We have a lot of work to do. There are big changes ahead. But as long as we keep our focus and our passion and are inspired, great things are going to happen for our district.
Right cafeteria right here, okay?
Can't wait to see you in the classrooms today.
This is the new establishment of W.E.D. Du Bois Academy, and I'm pretty excited.
When she was a student, I was at Wagner High School, so I knew her way back then.
Let's sign up to be an Academy of Louisville partner.
I'm very proud of this and can't wait to see how this continues to develop. We have been able to present 8 scholarships to 8 outstanding seniors from the class of 19 in JCPS. Unfortunately, in the early 90s, the decision was made to condemn this floor, and I can't wait to fix this and many of the other issues we have around facilities. At the advice of the governor and health officials, I'm announcing that Jefferson County Public Schools will be closed starting on Monday, March 16th.
We have our school leadership teams that are collecting all the Chromebooks that are in their buildings.
We have been able in 2 weeks' time to get 25,000 Chromebooks. We wanted to get those shipped out to our students.
We are at Grace James Academy of Excellence.
It will be amazing because I'm part of the history that they're making right now.
Hey, JCPS students, happy first day of school. I know it's not the way we really wanted it. I wanted you in school. Nothing better than the first day of school to see all the excitement. We're coming back to school even though it's virtually.
Just today, over 1,200 educators with Jefferson County Public Schools are receiving their vaccines right here.
One special moment for me was opening up the 3rd floor at the Academy at Shawnee.
Incoming kindergarten, 6th, and 9th graders living in the designated choice zone will have more options.
We're here at Indian Trail Elementary. This is our first year in this new building.
It's very bright. Like when you come in here in the morning, you just get shined with brightness.
We are in our brand new Wilkerson Elementary in our library space, and you can see it's very bright and very well stocked with our books.
I feel like it's really welcoming and warm and just fun to be here.
It is our grand opening of our first one-of-a-kind Elevate Student Learning Center in our district.
So it has been 23 years since we have been able to open up a new school, a new facility in West Louisville, and I'm so proud that this is the facility that we are opening up.
EL was the curriculum selected after a long process to make sure that we had high-quality Tier 1 instruction going on across all of our K-8 schools in JCPS.
It is my honor to be the first to welcome you to Echo Trail Middle School, home of the Wolfpack. To this fabulous celebration and the breaking of ground on the new school, the W.E.B. Du Bois Academy. This has been long awaited. We are here to break ground on another new JCPS building, which is going to be a brand new early learning center for 3- and 4-year-old students. So we have not had a middle or a high school built in West Louisville since 1952, but that ends with this property behind us.
We're here today at the 15th District PTA Clothing Assistance Program.
We are so excited to announce the opening of our new Elevate Learning Center here at the Boys and Girls Club in the Newburgh area.
Thank you, Dr. Polio. See you later, alligator.
Thank you, Dr. Polio, for everything you've done for JCPS. We we love you. We're going to miss you, and good luck in the future.
Congratulations, Dr. Polio. Happy retirement.
Thank you, Dr. Polio. Thank you, Dr. Polio, for everything you've done for us, and you have to come back and see us.
That concludes our recognitions tonight.
I love my
Dr. Polio.
teachers, I love my school, and I love our new superintendent.
Please.
Mr. Hebert, Dr. Polio has very special guests today. His mom and dad have come to celebrate and mark this very important occasion. Could we have a picture of them to make sure that we have it for the archives of JCPS? Mr. and Mrs. Polio. Is there a motion to receive the recognitions? Mr. Bass, seconded by Ms. Duncan, all in favor? Ayes have it. Is there a motion to approve the meeting agenda? Mr. Craig, seconded by Ms. Strange, all in favor? Ayes have it. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of June 10th? Mr. Bass, seconded by Mr. Everett, all in favor? Ayes have it. Thank you. For his final time, we introduce to you Dr. Marty Polio to give his superintendent's report.
Thank you, Dr. Scholl and board members. That was very nice recognition. I wish I had more days to give you grief for that, but I don't. So thank you very much. It's been a lot of long nights in this room that I could reflect back on, but that was very special for me. So thank you very much. And I want to recognize my parents. Both were teachers in this community. So my dad was a teacher at DuPont Manual High School when it was a part of the Louisville City Schools and was a basketball coach there. And then my mom was a coach or a teacher for 40 years and 20 at Ballard, an English teacher and probably the best teacher I've ever known. So just amazing. So thank you all for being here today. And so I have done a lot of interviews and thank yous over, I'm sure my team is tired of doing standing ovations for me at this point. Is that you, Rob? Why'd you shake your head? Yes. That was a little too aggressive right there. Caught you. But I just, so I will be brief, but I just want to really have the opportunity to reflect a little bit and thank everybody for the last 8 years. I've had a lot of these opportunities to wrap up over the past month. So you saw a lot of the things on there. I'm really proud of the work that we've done since July 1st of 2017. I distinctly remember my first official board meeting, and that was when we approved the creation of W.E.B. Du Bois Academy. And so that was a very, very first meeting. We had a lot of controversy in that, but now to see where the school is and what's happening is just something that's amazing for me. They had their first graduating class this year. So that was really special for me as well. But outside of that, I mean, people ask me what am I most proud of, and I think I'm most proud of the fact that during the two largest crises we've had in modern education history across this nation, we've had a pandemic, which no one knew how to deal with. When that announcement came with the mayor standing behind me and Brent McKim, I thought we were going to be out until spring break. And I had a trusted advisor tell me this is going to impact you for 2 years. And I almost fell out of my chair then, and he was right. It was for 2 years. And then the staffing crisis and shortages that have happened have made all of our jobs difficult. Across this nation during that time, the average tenure of a superintendent is about 18 months in a large urban school district right now because of those challenges and just the political turmoil that is following public education right now. So I'm really proud of the fact that not only the longevity that occurred with that, but the changes that we made and continued to make even during difficult times. We're told in superintendent school not to do two things to keep your job. Number one is don't raise taxes, and number two, don't change the student assignment plan. I did both of them and screwed up busing at the same time. And proud that I'm still here through all of that. All these major changes will culminate, I believe, in absolutely unbelievable outcomes for our kids in the years to come. And I think it all culminated yesterday. The one thing that I've been talking about since the beginning was a new central office, because this one is about to fall apart at any time. We need a bigger boardroom. We need better space for collaboration. This used to be a garage. For those that you don't know this, cars used to pull through here at JCPS vehicles would get serviced in here. Now it has been our boardroom for decades. And so that was needed. And the fact that we got that donation of the Yum headquarters for JCPS yesterday is an amazing gift. But I think it just says a lot about the work we're doing. That's a $40 to $50 million gift for the children of this district, and means we get to build a brand new elementary school as a result of that. And so that was just kind of the icing on the cake for me. So, I can't thank enough every single person that has been part of the JCPS family and supported me during this time. So many people have encouraged me during difficult times and support the changes that we've made. But those just words of encouragement have meant so much to me during difficult times. And I have to thank all of the educators, teachers, and all educators for their support throughout these changes and difficult times. So I know these crises have not just affected me or the leadership team, they've affected every educator and board member in JCPS. And to work through that has been unbelievable. A special thanks goes out to all of our principals who have been amazing. They are doing the difficult, tough work. Being a principal is hard. It really is. In today's day and age and at any time is hard. But under the circumstances that they've faced over the past 8 years have just been amazing. And I can't thank them enough for being so supportive. And finally, to those who have served on my leadership team, minus Rob, just kidding. Just kidding, Rob, appreciate you. All those who have served on my leadership team, I can't thank you enough. Clearly, I know working for me isn't always easy, and I understand that, but I'm thankful for your loyalty, your service, and all you've done. I think I've had the greatest leadership team that anybody could possibly have, and it's made us very successful. I'll never forget what we've done together. Thank you.
Up next is, there are no additional comments on the superintendent search process. Now we will delve into our student outcomes focused governance update.
So for this guardrail 5, it specifically talks about JCPS not over-testing our kids when we try to get to the results that we're trying to get to. So the goal with this and what the board would obviously like to hear is just how is JCPS doing at this so far, and what are we looking like in the future?
Thank you. Good evening, board members. Tonight I'll be presenting on Guardrail 5, the monitoring report, which is focused on protecting appropriate testing. And this guardrail is to ensure that we're providing the minimum number of district mandated assessments to monitor student outcomes, no more, no less. We want to protect what matters most, which is instructional time, student engagement, and meaningful learning opportunities. So this guardrail serves as a means to check that the assessments that we administer are purposeful. And what we mean by that is that there's clear, actionable reason behind them, whether that's to inform instruction, measure growth, or identify areas for support. And so our theory of action is clear. If we implement a high-quality, balanced assessment system, one that integrates standardized assessments with performance-based assessments, Then we can foster learning environments where students' growth is measured accurately and meaningfully. And what this means is that we need assessments that are purposeful and align with what students are learning. We're supporting instruction, not interrupting it, and we're creating a space for authentic learning experiences. It's really about ensuring that every assessment supports and informs the learning process, that a balanced assessment system is not just relying on one type of measure, but it's a blend that includes both standardized assessments that provide broad comparative data, as well as and alongside of those rich performance-based assessments that offer deeper insights into students' skills and knowledge. And so our key actions in this area are integrating multiple assessment types, so using both standardized assessments and our milestones and defenses, that we're focused on assessments that are meaningful and provide meaningful insights, that we're ensuring fidelity on how we administer these assessments so that the data that we have is reliable and comparable, that we're optimizing student participation rates to get a full picture, and that we're actively supporting that instructional growth based on what we learned from those assessments. And so our commitment to protecting appropriate testing is firmly grounded in research and best practice. We know that the research says that high-quality formative assessment is proven to significantly improve student achievement across all core content areas. And that's really the process between teachers and students of using those assessment results to make immediate instructional adjustments. We also know, conversely, that excessive testing takes away from that instructional time that could be used for direct teaching, collaborative projects, and personalized support. An over-reliance on traditional standardized tests may also hinder the development of essential 21st century competencies that are vital for the future success in higher ed and the workforce, but are often difficult to measure through a traditional multiple choice format. Authentic assessment builds relevance and excellence by allowing our students to show what they know and can do in a diverse real-world setting. And finally, without proper support, an overwhelming amount of assessment data can burden our educators. So we need to have teachers to have the time, training, and clear guidance to analyze data effectively and to translate that into actionable practices in their classrooms. And so to give you a clearer picture of how we manage assessments across the district, we've summarized assessments into 3 broad categories. Those that are federal or state required, where we don't have a choice there. Those that are district required assessments that are selected to support student learning, and those that are optional that are made available but not mandated. And we've also analyzed and examined the number of hours that our students spend on testing. And the graph here shows that for kindergarten, 4th, 7th, and 10th grade, just to illustrate the varying impact across different grade levels. And while the total number of hours varies by grade level, it depends on the academic and developmental needs of the students at those grade levels. Overall, we found that total tested time represents about 2% of the instructional time across the year out of the 1,093 hours that we have during the school year. And so this data represents new metrics that we have established to assess our progress on this guardrail. This data will serve as the baseline for setting longer-term goals. So participation in milestones and defenses is particularly valuable because those are experiences that are designed to assess essential skills, while strong participation in standardized assessments ensures that our results are robust and representative and that we're getting an accurate picture of how the district is doing district-wide and identifying areas where we need support. And so what our first year of data shows is that we reached about 71% of our students participated in milestones, 90% participated in defensive learning, and 95% participated in that standardized assessment of either MAP or CERT. And so I'd like to highlight a few effective strategies that we already have in place, but that we're continuing to refine. Data literacy. So here we're providing crucial ongoing professional learning to help our school leaders and teachers understand and effectively use how assessment data to drive their instruction. We also are implementing vital sign reviews that allows us to respond proactively to any emerging needs that we see through those assessment results. We're continuing with strong communication and progress monitoring of our participation rates. However, we also have identified areas that we know where we see potential to strengthen our practice. Those include increasing our milestone participation, strengthening high school engagement across the board, and engaging our middle schools and enhancing them with the defensive learning participation. And so looking ahead, our next steps are both focused and strategic, designed to focus in on those opportunities for growth. So we want to ensure that the Academies of Louisville and Explore Pathways enhance our journey to success. We know that those programs offer real-world connections, interdisciplinary learning, and really serve as natural opportunities for those vibrant learning experiences and authentic assessments. We also want to create some dedicated opportunities for school leaders and Journey to Success leads to calibrate and collaborate amongst themselves to see exemplars and to share their successes. And then finally, we want to expand our evidence of learning check pilots. And this represents those times where we can provide continuous relevant feedback where teachers have progress monitoring tools that they can adjust their instruction in real time. And lastly, I want to close by recognizing that our work is very closely aligned with where Kentucky is headed. Kentucky released their Framework 4.0 this June, this month. And so what you'll see here is a shift from a more traditional accountability system to one that is valuing vibrant learning, collaboration, local innovation, and feedback and support. And so just to close, wanted to point out that Guardrail 5 isn't just about reducing tests, but it's about ensuring that every assessment serves a purpose. And so we're striving for a balanced system that accurately measures student growth across a spectrum of skills that provides meaningful and engaging learning experiences and ultimately supports every student on their unique journey to success. So with that, I will close and open it up for questions.
Thanks a ton. That was great. Dr. Scholl, do you have any questions?
Yeah. So I'm just curious, how often do individual teachers create their own, I guess, individual assessments? Is that an anomaly, or is that something that happens pretty frequently in classrooms?
Yeah, that's up to individual teachers. And so each teacher has the opportunity to create formative assessments. We also have assessments that are tied to the high quality instructional resources that teachers can use as well.
I would say every day. Every day. Every day a teacher has an assessment of some kind.
But are those individually created by those teachers?
Yes.
Or,
Yes, they're not district required.
so how does that intersect with EL and IN? Are there not, I guess, standard assessments that are necessitated by that curriculum?
Yes, those are really what we started to ramp up this year, and I think next year, going into next year, is even going to get more. But those are what was Dr. Dassa was just talking about with the HQIRs. So those are not created by teachers; those are created by the curriculum itself.
So in order to kind of bring, I guess, the frequency of testing into alignment with where the future of assessments are going, and not over-testing students, do we plan to encourage, or is there a plan to encourage individual teachers to create individual assessments less, or will we just allow that practice to continue?
I think we want to allow that practice to continue. The teachers have the autonomy, but I also think that it's important that we provide the support needed at the district level so that they're implementing the assessments with integrity, and we have those resources available for them to use and to help them build their assessment literacy and their data skills on how they can use that common assessment to address their instructional needs.
She answered that really beautifully. So I would only add that the HQIRs, the assessments that are connected, and then one of the reasons that they were chosen is because they do provide a balance between those performance-based assessments and more standardized measures. That is in math and literacy, so that is not indicative of necessarily every single subject area, but it's helpful to create that balance that we're seeking.
Okay, thank you. Second and last question is, I'm looking at the percentages of students who are completing assessments, particularly high school and the CERT, and middle school, the defenses of learning. I guess the 16% of kids who are not taking the CERT in high school, what are they doing, and how are we ensuring that they're prepared for graduation?
Right. So that 83% at the high school level for CERT represents that spring assessment. So it's possible that they took the CERT assessment in the fall and the winter. In the spring, that's a pretty busy time for our high schoolers. So they may be taking advanced placement tests. They also will be taking the Kentucky Summative Assessment. And then I know also what we've seen with the state accountability assessment is that just chronic absenteeism also plays a role when it comes to that spring window. But if you looked at that data for the fall and the winter, it would be much higher.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your work always. I appreciate your expertise in mining the data. Thank you.
Mr. Craig?
No real questions. Thank you for the presentation. I just want to pop in to thank you for giving voice in the in this slide about the research. Two of these bullet points stand out to me. The third, that over-reliance on traditional standardized tests may hinder the development of 21st century competencies. And the fourth, that authentic assessment builds relevance and equity. I appreciated those two in particular in this presentation and giving voice to the compromise that led to these guardrails when we went through the Council of Great City School SOFG work, and the conversation that we just had with our outgoing superintendents about the risk of over-reliance on assessments generally in K through 12 and more specifically inside of the district. These 2 points really emphasize why we're monitoring how we're using assessments, how many assessments we're using, and then what place in our policymaking decisions as a board the outcomes of those assessments really have in driving the future of the district. I was sitting next to Ms. Duncan down at the end of the table in 2019, the first time that I went through as a member of this board our state assessment results. And she made the comment then that all this really does is tell us which schools students from affluent families were assigned to. And the difference between a manual on one end and reside school X on the other could simply be just, you could see it in that data as well as the instructional practices that were inside of it. And so I appreciate that we're continuing to do this, and I'll have my eye on it in the years to come about how we're using this data and making sure that we're also not over-testing as the guardrail indicates. Thank you for this.
Ms. Strange?
For me to echo something James Craig said, y'all write this down.
I've been following you for the last 2 years. It's your turn.
But yeah, what we've heard today about the over-testing, and what concerns me in this whole process is that if teachers are able to somewhat do their own assessment, then are teachers now able to use their creativity to teach rather than teaching as mandated by the test? And the Journey to Success program seems to point in that direction. But will the state test and all the necessary assessments overrule the teacher's ability to be innovative and to teach the way that they need to teach? So is there any room in our Journey to Success to ensure that over the state assessments? Well, I know we have to do the required state assessments, but to give teachers leverage to teach what they need to teach so that we can ensure children are learning what they need to learn versus what they need to test to. That was a lot, but that's the question.
Well, and I think, again, what we are seeing is we're really well poised for the move that the state is making with their state accountability system. So they are building an accountability system that recognizes some of the local values and the vibrant learning experiences. So that will be an opportunity for us to showcase the work that we're doing with Journey to Success within a larger accountability system. So I think the state is also moving to have that balance of standardized assessments as well as vibrant learning experiences and more authentic assessments. So we're really poised to move in that direction with that work.
Thank you.
Ms. Lister.
Thank you for doing this. And I agree with everything that's been said so far. And we have had a theme this evening about moving away from so much testing, which is, I'm really glad to hear that. But so I guess my question would be, in the district required stuff, how much wiggle room is there, and maybe in all of the testing, to move, for the federal and state required stuff? Are there options, do this instead of these things, that there could be replacements? And the district required things, how can do we have suggestions about ways to change those to take up less time with testing?
So there's not a whole lot of wiggle room when it comes to the federal and state requirements, but maybe a little bit more with the district required. But again, the district required assessments still overall represent a pretty small point of instructional time. I will say, for example, there's a state law that requires a universal screener and diagnostic in both reading and math, K through 3. And so at the district level, it's important for us to kind of progress monitor our students when they get into 4th and 5th grade and even into middle school. So that's why we had that continuity of the MAP test K through 8, so that we can have that same experience for all of our students.
Okay, thank you.
Just a quick one, in regards to how the state is shifting, have we heard anything, will any of these state tests possibly be changed or removed, or are we going to include at this point?
So the idea is that I think they want to pass something in 2026. And so I do think that there's going to be some changes in terms of the state model. So they are looking to identify those that are just required by the federal government, and then allow for a little bit more local control and some local flexibility in areas that are not required by the feds. So I think we will see some changes with the state.
I don't think you will. So just my opinion. So, I mean, there may be weights change on it, but I don't think anything other than the weights will change. I think you'll still have the same required amount of testing at the federal level, but maybe I'm wrong on that, but I'd be shocked. Sorry, Dina.
We agree to disagree.
Well, no, it sounds like federal is not changing, maybe a little bit of room on state, who knows, but I was just wondering, no big deal.
Yep.
Thank you. Ms. Duncan?
Well, Corey stole one of my questions and Gail stole another of my questions, so.
You don't have to ask him.
I had. That's true. One thing that struck me was that dip that middle schools are experiencing in in the defensive learning participation and in the milestone participation. It just seems to be a dip in that participation. Are we aware of what's causing that less participation, or are we thinking of what we can do to incentivize more participation?
We are, and so again, with the milestone and the defensive learning, this was the first year that we were capturing that data at the district level, and so I think some of it might be just inputting the information into a system that we can collect and analyze. And then I think it's going to be important with our next steps around those collaborative learning opportunities where schools, leaders, and Journey to Success leads can meet together and talk about what worked well for their school and kind of share some of those best practices to raise the participation rate across the board. So having that intentional time where they can meet and talk about what they did in their building to increase their participation rate, I think we'll see some stronger numbers next year.
Ms. Duncan, the more you all value those data points, the more schools will make sure it's entered and make sure those experiences are happening. So I would say that, having knowledge of which schools are entering them, which schools are doing them, having, those type of things are, I think, very important to ensure, because obviously people do what they're held accountable for.
Absolutely. Oh, I get a little nervous when we talk about, like, it says teacher-created tests are optional. I can't imagine teaching without being able to create my own assessment and to inform me of what I need to do next or what I have to do to help the ones that didn't get it. So I hope that there continues to be room for teacher-created assessments, and they don't view those as burdens. And related to that, do we have any evidence that teachers right now think that what is being required of them is overwhelming or over the top?
Yeah, we don't really collect that data, but we can look towards how we might be able to get some input, for example, with our comprehensive school survey and areas like that we can ask about.
I think that might be an interesting addition to that survey, because it would give them an opportunity to let us know if they feel like what they're doing is too much. It's interfering with instructional time. Mm-hmm. Okey doke, thank you.
I also want to caution us, the word assessment is very broad. So when we say assessments, and I say every day, that's because any teacher, almost every teacher in the district, and clearly an effective teacher, is giving multiple assessments of student learning throughout. Now, that doesn't mean it's a test, it doesn't mean it's standardized, but there's a multitude of ways that teachers give assessments on a regular basis.
Thank you.
Mr. Bass?
Thank you for the information. I'm making sure my question is making sense. So I'm realizing, I guess, standardized testing is an assessment, but are these assessments protected by any biases that the current standardized tests have?
Right, so there could be inherent biases in some of the standardized assessments. I will say, for example, when we have recently shifted for our gifted and talented assessment from one assessment to a different assessment that allows, that assessment was shown to have a little bit less bias and was more nonverbal and allowed for us to kind of take a wider cast of who might be identified as gifted and talented. So changing that assessment was in regards to making sure that we weren't having access to more rigorous courses as an issue with that assessment.
And then my other question is about the achievement gap. So with the information that we have, how confident are you in the achievement gap closing and raising the graduation rate and career readiness for our students doing this new assessment compared to what we're going through currently?
Yeah, so when it comes down to closing the achievement gap, I think there's a couple of different ways to look at that, but I think bottom line, it's important to say, what do you do with the information that you're assessing on? Are you making instructional changes? Are students able to get personalized support to meet their needs? And so that's what it comes down to when we're talking about how do we close that gap? How are they using the assessment? So it's not really about the quantity of the assessments, it's really about the quality and the purpose of those assessments. When it comes to having a balanced system, I think we'll be able to take a more holistic look. And what the research has shown is that when you're able to have a little bit more authentic assessments, that provides a level of equity when it comes to students being able to show what they know and are able to do in diverse settings that aren't necessarily easily measured through a standardized assessment. Both are important, and that's why we need that balance.
I appreciate it. Oh, I do got one question there. One more. What is it that we will have to do to address the state level? Because it does seem like it's, and I don't know if it's miscommunication, but for us to, I guess, come to an agreement, because from my experience with testing, it wasn't really a good thing. You know, they got to teach you how to test, and it is a lot of negatives to it. So what is it that we could do as a district to go to Frankfurt to say, hey, this is what we recommend, or do you think that's not even possible?
Well,
we do that. Chuck Truesdale does that very effectively, and we push for changes in the accountability system, especially with KDE. But just reminder that the assessment system is proposed by KDE, but it's passed by the legislature, so that's in statute. And so it requires the legislature to pass statute or legislation for this. So that makes it a little more challenging, but we do as much lobbying as we can to, and I believe JCTA does too, to ensure that we're reducing the amount of standardized testing and trying to make sure it's more authentic for students.
Yeah, and I will say that the other piece of the Kentucky United We Learn did a pretty significant outreach to multiple districts across the state. So we were Jefferson County was part of what they call their local laboratories of learning. And that was an opportunity for us to share what we're doing around Journey to Success, our Portrait of a Learner, and other districts were able to do that too. And they use that information to develop that framework that they're proposing right now.
Okay, great. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. No further questions.
Thank you, Dr. Dossett. The incredible dynamic Dina Dossett, thank you for your work in this presentation. Thank you, Mr. Everett, for serving as the board facilitator. Thank you. Is there a motion to receive the monitoring report on interim metrics for Guardrail 5, Protect Appropriate Testing? Ms. Duncan, seconded by Ms. Lister. All in favor? Ayes have it. Thank you very much. Dr. Polio will introduce our information item regarding the transportation update.
Thank you so much, Dr. Scholl and board members. It's only appropriate on my last board meeting to be discussing bus drivers. And as you all know, I took a job where there are no buses, so increases the odds of success for me. Having said that, we do want to, as requested by the board, provide you a transportation year-in review and kind of looking forward as well. I do want to compliment our transportation team on the work that they've done. 24-25 has just been amazing. So Marcus Dobbs, thank you, and for all of your team that has done an amazing job this year, and I think you'll see that through the data. I'll turn it over to Dr. Folk at this time, who will take us through the presentation.
Good evening. With me this evening is Marcus Dobbs, the Executive Administrator of Transportation, and then to my left is Dr. Amy Stokes-Levine, who is our Director of Operations Procedural Development, and they'll be assisting with the presentation. Carolyn told me there's a lag on that, so not to press it twice. So to give you a retrospective of the year, our opening week, we started at about 92% on time in the morning for day one of school, 68% on time in the afternoon. By the sixth day of school, we were at 98.9% on time in the morning, 86.4% in the afternoon. This is not something that had really been benchmarked much in the past. So it was some information that we wanted to be able to capture for future years. And then our opening clear times for student drop-offs, we have next to that where we saw, obviously, a vast difference from the previous year. One of the metrics that we're most proud of is for the entirety of the 24-25 school year, our on-time drop-off in the morning was 99.2%. Obviously, this is vastly different than the previous school years, especially the year that we had in crisis. So we're very pleased with that number. The other number that we're very proud of in operations and among transportation is during the transportation crisis, we missed in excess of 9.7 million instructional minutes for students. We reduced that to 640,000 for this year. Which obviously any instructional minutes lost is not acceptable, but if we're at 99.2% on time, that translates to about 640,000 over the course of the entire year.
Two of the ways that we improved this service was by reducing the amount of students that were impacted by late service by over 50%. And the second way was by reducing the average late time of the students who were late by over 90%. So my position was created in response to audit feedback saying that we needed to focus more on procedures, policies, and metric monitoring for operations. And one of the ways that I've done that is by surveying bus drivers, not just throughout the year, but also before school started. So prior to the first day of school, prior to putting students on buses, we were able to determine that at least 70% of drivers felt comfortable with their routes. They felt confident with their left-right directions, and we were able to get information back about them about any routes that needed to be changed and make those changes. Some bus driver feedback that they provided to us that first day was that the appropriate times between stops, between each school, between stops, was adequate, and they also provided information about bus stop locations and safety. And we were, as I said, we were able to determine changes that needed to be made before we even put students on buses that first day.
A historical look at our routes and drivers. We constructed this graph for you, and you have drivers at the top, and then daily drivers after call-ins, routes, buses needed. And as you can see, the trend line for drivers obviously has dipped since 13-14. This isn't new information for anyone on the board. But what we do see there is we're starting to see the trend line on drivers go up, at least this year. And as we know, there were significant changes made in terms of both compensation to drivers, as well as route construction, as well as the time they were on the road, the amount of overtime they had to work, the amount of miles that they had to drive in a given day. It's also, too, one thing that we like to point out, and I know that Dr. Sharon, when he came in front of you last time, talked about double and triple runs. So you see there in 1920 when we started doing double and triple runs, and then the change of start times, and then some feedback from one of our high school principals, the regularity of double and triple runs increased supervision demands on school administration every year. To put that in context, when I was principal of Iroquois High School, I had triple runs, which means that I ended the school day at 2:20, and my last pickup was around 4 o'clock. This is not a way to have a successful school. It's a recipe for a lot of mischief to occur. So eliminating double and triple runs was obviously a desired outcome. Our current staffing as of today is I have 616 bus drivers on book. I am expecting 15 retirements before the summer is out. The class that starts on the 7th of July will have 40 in it, and then those that are in the pipeline leading up to that class is 31. I will net conservatively 85% of those that are in the class on 7-7, and I'd say we're at about 60% of those that are on deck, or we may lose them somewhere along the way. Our efforts to support drivers, there's been several significant changes that we put into place this year. Obviously, the behavioral support systems with the CNC staff at compounds, They are dispatched to every compound. They're the ones that run referrals for the compound directors, interface directly with drivers. We have a centralized routing team that works with our compounds every day, receives feedback from the compound coordinators, assistant coordinators. We instituted a pause period last year, which allowed our routing team to not have to create routes up to the first day of school, which is a recipe for a disaster. We are instituting that pause period again this year. We have a 48-hour driver adjustment. That's our turnaround time where if there's an adjustment to a route or a bus stop. And we've managed to maintain that pretty well this year. Sometimes the exception will be with a particularly tricky exceptional children route. We do driver surveys throughout the year. We surveyed them 6 times this year. We improved the 485 ride process with a direct data path to the routing team, meaning that if you call into the 485 ride, Ms. Callahan's team has a series of things where they are routed to very correctly and quickly. We've resolved concerns by end of the day for the vast majority of the concerns that have been called into 485 ride. And then, as you are aware, we have increased pay and compensation package for bus drivers. Driver feedback this year, some of it great routing, perfect directions. I love my compound, grateful to be here again. There were issues on my route initially, but after speaking to my coordinator, they were immediately addressed and adjusted, and a lot better this year. Our metrics from our driver surveys have been very positive this year. From the HR standpoint, speaking for Chief Groman, the average time from the application to recommendation to attending class is about 28 days. And I will remind you in that process that requires criminal background check, a CAN check, that requires a motor vehicle records check, accident report check. If you were an out-of-state driver, then we have to check with that state if it wasn't Kentucky. There are several things that happen before you can get to class, and that's the permit class. We've streamlined the Blitz process, which includes application assistance for those who wish to be bus drivers, paperwork, fast tracking, on-site interviews the day of the Blitzes, on-site physical and drug screens the day of the Blitzes when we have those, which allows us to cut application from recommendation to as little as 14 to 20 days. And then once they get into permit class, we hold them in the permit class after they take their permit, which we have no power of when they can schedule their permit. If you have had to schedule a child for a permit, you know that it can be very difficult. We do have some leverage with the Kentucky State Police to get some spots in. However, I think it's well publicized how backed up the DMV is. Once they get the written permit, then they come into our class. We train them on all aspects of the CDL as well as the S-Class certification, and then we are once again at the mercy of the road test, which can be in excess of 3 weeks from when an applicant completes the class. To get an idea of that, this is a timeline of if I want to be a bus driver, I submit my application day 0. The Welcome Center is going to have a couple of days where they get through the initial paperwork, some of the screening process. Then they do the motor vehicle records check and the accident report check. That takes an additional set of days. They interview the physical, schedule them for the permit class. Once they get their permit, they come into the permit class, and then they schedule the permit test. As you'll see, that's one of the longer red arrows. We don't control that. They take the permit test. Once they take the permit test, they're scheduled for a certification class. Certification classes run pretty quickly. Once we get them into a certification class, I usually keep them, and we can get them on the road, assuming they pass their road test, which once again, we're at the mercy of the DMV. Looking forward, one of the things that I wanted to address tonight, it was spoken about in the last board meeting, and then we had some articles out in the community about it. So I wanted to dispel some myths about our routing software and make sure the board has a good understanding of that. Traversa has been in operation since 1984. I took 16 months to vet companies in the United States that do routing software. And why did we do this? Because our routing software was created by a person who is no longer employed by the district. We don't even know where they are, in 2010. We have built on top of that system since then with a variety of programmers from IT and the Geographic Information Services, some of them who don't even work for us anymore. It was high time, and one of the biggest audit recommendations, that we modernize the software on how we route buses. So we took a very long time to do that. The initial review of submissions, and this was our second RFP of the process, was in October this year to November. We demoed the selected vendors. We demoed several vendors. We called references. We called like districts that had used them or had walked away from them in the past. reviewed the company's stability. One of the big keys for me in selecting a routing software is they had to do districts that were much larger than us. They had to do them for a long time, and they had to be successful with them. Then we asked them to come on with some follow-up technical questions, some hands-on demonstrations, and did a final evaluation in the process. You all approved them in January of 2026. They came to us and started on-site March 13th. The next big thing for me in this is that we go very slow in using this. If we have learned nothing, we need to be conservative in our approach when we make big changes. So this next year, all we are routing using that software is summer school and our ECE population. We already hand route most of the ECE population, but putting it into the system gives us an idea to make sure that we're using it correctly for an entire year. I will not allow it to touch regular education for a full calendar year, and that my routing team is confident that they know how to use it and implement it without any issues. So that soft rollout started May 16th, and we're using it currently this summer to do all of our summer programs. The company that we selected, Traversa, has been in operation since 1984. They've been trusted with over 1,100 school districts, including Fairfax County, Virginia, which has 183,000 students, Orange County, Florida, 209,000 students, Seminole County, Florida, 70,000 students, Frisco Independent in San Diego, California, 70,000 students, Columbus, 50,000, Cypress Fairbanks, 118,000, and the entire state of South Carolina. So what we end with is one of the quotes from our bus drivers on our last round of feedback, which was simply, "Thanks for employment, JCPS." So what questions do you have for us?
Mr. Bass?
No questions for me.
Ms. Duncan?
Well, I kept waiting this year for school to start because I didn't hear anything at the beginning of school, and I kept waiting for some call or some notice of difficulties, and there were none. And I think it was a remarkable turnaround from last year, and we all so appreciate that. All of our families appreciate that so much. I just have, I know you've told us that you have to wait to make other changes before we can even consider anything like 2 start times. I'm hoping that 2 start times are in the future for us, though, and not too far off. I would love for you to survey elementary staff who start at 9:40 and say, would they rather be out at 2:10, was the early start time, and stay until 3:30, or would they rather be out at 4:20 and maybe some delays? I wish we would ask them that question, because they're the ones that are bearing the brunt of this 9:40 start, and for them, it has been difficult with their families and things that their kids have to do after school, as well as their own school children. So I wish we would ask them so we get an idea of how they feel about that particular kind of delay. I had, and Rob, I continue to have that question that I can't reconcile. While we say it took 740 drivers to transport 62,700 kids in 2021, but now we're saying it takes 800 drivers to transport 46,000 kids.
So I can answer that pretty concretely. We could do it with the number that we did in 2021. That will require us to do double and triple runs. So that will require us then to tell schools that a place like Iroquois, Conway, J-Town, Fern Creek, or Moore, who were triple run schools back in 2021, that to do that, you will have to stay 2 hours in excess of the end of the day every day. We were able to do that then because we implemented a practice that some districts have done, like double and triple runs are a reality in some districts across the United States. I will contend that that is terrible service for kids and terrible service for schools. You will not see a recommendation from us to do that. knowing that we would require a school to sit with students in excess of 2 hours at the end of their instructional day. To do it, we would only recommend from our standpoint that it would be a single-run school.
Okay, well, I still hope that in the future we can attract more people to drive buses for us and to give us the numbers that we do need to be able to effectively transport our kids, our fewer kids. Than
So
what
to
we did.
speak to that as well, one of the numbers that I brought in front of you last year was the prediction that we would start this year with 526 drivers. It's one of the only numbers we've been wrong about. And we're glad to be wrong about it. We were extremely conservative about it. We went off past absence trend data and what our attrition rate looked like, and the formula we came up with said we're going to start with 526. We started with more, and we've managed to get more. So I'm very thankful for the work that HR has done to increase that number. That's not a number that we have done. We have the contributing factor of making working conditions better. We have the contributing factor of putting, schools in geographic regions and making the routes better and all of that. But it's HR that have gotten these folks in there, and they've done a really bang-up job this year. Do I think that we have 700 next year? I don't know. I will continue to be conservative about what our driver pool looks like. I know what we compete against, and I know the levers that we have had the opportunity to pull. There's not a lot of levers left. We can't touch compensation again. We have a very good compensation package for our bus drivers. Can we get closer to 100% geographic regions? We try to route that every day. Like that is the goal, that we get within 100% geographic regions. But there's not a whole lot more levers. So there will be a ceiling at some point of what our bus drivers look like. I don't know what that number is.
Well, I thank you all so much for a wonderful year that you gave us, and I look forward to, at least we'll be able to repeat this one next year, and then evaluate if we've attracted any more people or not. But thank you, Rob, all of you.
Mr. Everett?
Yeah, I'd like to start off saying thank you guys as well. It's an incredible year, and I'm new here, but my parents were very, very happy about it. I'd also like to say, in my other job, the company you all picked, Traversa, is a great pick. They're a great company, and I think you guys will be very happy with them. I'm very happy as a board member to see you pick them. One question I had is, obviously the data shows that we were awesome in the morning. The afternoon wasn't as good. It's not bad, but it's not as good. And I will say it's the one thing I heard from my principals is, like, we still have kids waiting at the school longer than they would like. Is that normal? Has that always been the case, or is that still something we're trying to improve? And what's the reason for it?
So the biggest reason for that is we have call-ins in the afternoon in excess of the morning. So I might do a morning run and then decide that I'm going to call in the afternoon. So if my average daily absences is around 68, my average afternoon absence is going to be closer to 75, 77. Now, where we ended for the year in terms of on-time drop-off was still in excess of 95%. We would like it to mirror what we have in the morning. But the reality is, when we look at absences, we'll have increased attrition in the afternoon.
Makes sense. And then the last thing, just to echo, I agree with you guys. I think it's tough to pull many more levers to get more bus drivers, but I would just reiterate, just Dr. Folk, since you were here last time, is this board, I would love to see how can we get to, I don't care if it's 2 start times, 3 start times, I just don't want something as late as 9:40. And I would just ask you guys to pull as many levers as you can with any option you think is on the table to present to this board to say, here's what we could do to not have a 9:40 start time. That would be my only ask. So, and again, thank you guys for all you do.
Ms. Lister?
I echo that. Thank you for this report and for all the incredible work this year and for keeping trying. Like, we got to keep trying. And I am hearing a whole lot also about 9:40 start time has just got to go. So we've got to figure out some way to do that. And we need to figure out some way to get all the kids back on buses. So keep it up, but great work. Thank you.
Ms. Strange?
Again, I'll echo what these guys are saying because, this is so much better. The consternation we had a couple of years ago was not a good one. But did I understand you correctly to say that you are doing a soft rollout this summer with the new software?
Yeah, for our summer program, we're using the Traversa to route it.
How is that working?
Great.
Okay. Any problems? I mean, anything that has piqued your curiosity, or anything patterns you've noticed, or anything like that?
No, nothing really with the software. There's some small little learning curves that we're, gaining those. But other than that, no, the software is working as intended, and our people are learning it.
Good. So we'll be ready to go 25, 26, 26, 27.
26, 27, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Craig?
The mastery of the data around your department is given to us in the presentation, inspires confidence in the work that you're doing. Thank you for demonstrating that mastery. I have full confidence in the work that the Transportation Department is doing, all three of you, everyone who presented to us last time, and everybody behind you. Thank you for the work that you're doing. And thank you for the improvement on the lost instruction minutes. What was our graduation rate number this year?
Believe we 88 or 89, did we get 89%?
And that's the highest it's ever been.
Oh, yeah.
And we're not going to do that. And that's the metric that matters to me. We can talk about the 5 goals and the transition readiness and third grade reading and 8th grade literacy, but transition readiness at the end at the 12th grade level is what matters to most to me as an individual board member. We can't do any of those. We can't accomplish any of those 5 goals if we can't get kids in the seats. And you're demonstrating to us that we're doing what we need to do that. The decisions that we've made, difficult as they have been, have led to that result as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Craig. Thank you all for this presentation. Thank you for your indefatigable work to get students to school and to get students to school on time and then get them home at a decent hour. We appreciate the work that you do. And that ends that presentation. Have a good evening. Is there a motion to receive the update on transportation? Ms. Duncan, seconded by Ms. Lister. All in favor? Ayes have it. Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar? Mr. Craig, seconded by Mr. Bass. All in favor? Ayes have it. Thank you. Is there a motion to receive the planning calendar? Mr. Bass, seconded by Mr. Craig. All in favor? Ayes have it. Thank you. Are there any board reports? Ms. Duncan?
I don't have a report, but I have a question about the safety update. I didn't see it on the calendar. Does that mean it's coming to us in another way? I guess that's a Dr. Polio question.
I think Dr. DeFerrari, I thought she said she communicated with you and give up the board all the data that any of you asked for, but would be happy then, once you see the data, to do a session on it as well. So I think that's just upon your request once you see the data.
All right, very good. Thank you.
Mr. Craig?
Just thank you to the chair. I've been appointed as the chair of the Board of Education's Revenue Committee. I'll be convening a meeting with our CFO and our general counsel before the 4th of July holiday to make a plan for the work of that committee for the next couple of months. I understand that all of the members of the Board of Education have submitted a proposed member of that committee. We'll be contacting them hopefully before the 4th of July holiday, and we'll have a goal of setting the first meeting of that committee either the last week of July or in early August to start the work. I don't know when that committee's recommendation will be coming forth, but hopefully in enough time to influence the January 2026 budget presentation the Board of Education will be receiving. So be on the lookout for a lot more information on that work to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Craig. Ms. Duncan?
I just want to say one more thing, and as we have this opportunity to do that, I want to officially thank Dr. Polio for the courage and sacrifice he's shown and given us to allow this district to grow in the way it has grown. He's a problem solver. He came in, he saw the problems firsthand as a person, an employee of the district, and he approached everything with trying to solve these problems. And I greatly appreciate it. He's changed the whole landscape of JCPS as far as I'm concerned. That choice assignment, student assignment plan was a remarkable accomplishment. And all the things that you have had to face, the COVID, the threats from the state, take over the COVID, all the things that we've talked about, you have faced those things with such courage, Dr. Polio, and we will forever be indebted to you. Thank you.
There are persons requesting to address the board. Chief Callahan will play the video at this time.
In accordance with Board Policy 01.421, the board expects that persons who have signed up to address the board will limit their remarks to the subject that they listed at the time they signed up, that their presentation will not include any defamatory or abusive remarks about the subject, and that they will present their remarks in a manner that is consistent with the orderly conduct of the meeting. Also, in accordance with board policy, the board reserves the right to limit, extend, or terminate discussion on any subject. Discussion of personnel matters is not permitted, as state law requires that personnel matters are within the sole authority of the superintendent. The speaker may not initiate charges or complaints against an individual district employee by name or position in order to ensure confidentiality and fairness for the employee. Speakers before the entire board are not allowed to use props, displays, or any other objects during their remarks. Each speaker is allowed 3 minutes to address the board and may not share these minutes with any other speaker. At the end of 2.5 minutes, a bell will sound once. You will then have 30 seconds to finish your statement. At the end of 3 minutes, the bell will sound twice, indicating that your time is up. The superintendent will look into the speaker's issues and, if necessary, represent the board in following up or recommend action to the board. The full board policy concerning public participation in open meetings is available for viewing on our website and at our sign-in sheet.
Melissa Landrum. Melissa Landrum. Sarah Rosenbaum.
Hello, good evening. My name is Sarah Rosenbaum, and I'm an alumni, parent, and employee of JCPS. My background is early childhood education, and I've had a successful event planning and business development career. So I'm here today to propose an idea that I have and open up a conversation about how we can best support our JCPS students and help them reach the maximum potential as they face adulthood. Communication, as we all know, is the key to success, and how can we most efficiently accomplish this as adults in our community with our students? We can accomplish this with a JCPS Hub app. The JCPS Hub app can serve as a 24-hour information hub. The Hub idea is important. For an example, like I Googled a summer camp. What popped up on Google is like a very dark screen. It has a map, and then links and other, things that can be very confusing. And had I not learned how to navigate Google for the last 20 years, I probably would not have continued. The efficiency of the Hub app is most valuable. Legible, simple tabs and links for our students to explore the world that is closest to their zip code is the idea behind this. This JCPS Hub app will allow students to locate information and local resources such as job openings, summer camps, tutors, year-round free music and art festivals, internships, community gardens, college readiness tips, mentorship programs, community centers, free meal drop-off locations, nutrition wellness classes and programs, the closest safe house, shelter, and all the options are truly endless. Forming these resources for our students will be a collaboration of our entire city. There are so many amazing institutions that want to better serve our district, and I think that for this day and age, the JCPS Hub app will help open up the doors and allow us to foster stronger student and community relationships. For students and families that do not have phone access, they will be able to access the app on the school Chromebook. We can also discuss the idea of the app being available at our local libraries. Our libraries are already providing amazing communication channels and resources for the students in our city. The library collaboration can also serve as a mentorship type program and bring back an old school sense of community back together. The last thing that I'd like to say is that children care about their own well-being. The JCPS Hub app would be something accessible to all of our students to help them grow, learn, eat well, and have a sense of stability with supportive mentors that are closest to them. I have personally been in touch with a company called Vantage Innovative, who has provided me with a quote for the JCPS Hub app program, potentially. I'm receiving great feedback and support from community members, senators, and friends. And with my fundraising experience, I will be sure to explore all options. I will. Am I good? Step away. Good.
Maddie Shepherd.
Hello, I'm Maddie Shepherd, President of the Jefferson County Teachers Association, and I will be talking about an employee. I'm here to offer a few words for Dr. Polio's last school board meeting. First, I want to say that this is really surreal. I came to JCPS in the summer of 2017, just as Dr. Polio was being named interim superintendent. Dr. Polio is the only JCPS superintendent I've ever known. Sure, I've heard lots of stories, all kinds of stories, some action-packed, some comedies, some thrillers, many of them horror stories about superintendents past. But Dr. Polio is the only one I've ever worked for. I've taught in a lot of classrooms in JCPS as a deeper learning resource teacher, and I've visited a lot of classrooms this year of JCTA members as president. But I started as an elementary teacher, telling lots of stories, teaching writing, reading, and social studies, and I'm really familiar with teaching stories, America's story as a social studies teacher in 5th grade. And so I want to talk about a type of story, a hero's journey. The hero's journey is typically marked by the presence of a hero, often with great hair. So there might be a lot of really good hair jokes throughout these remarks. I'm just kidding, there's not. And a hero who's tasked with leaving the kingdom to defend it against great foes, always returning back triumphant and saving the day. But I would say that Dr. Polio's, JCPS's hero, his journey is the opposite. Many of JCPS's foes have come right to our front door. And it's that fact that Dr. Polio has stayed throughout all of it and not left, that has what has really defined his tenure here. The fact that the average large urban school district, and Dr. Polio even referenced this stat earlier tonight, is less than 3 years, is often referenced when we talk about Dr. Polio and the many storms that he's weathered here in JCPS. Only months after taking over, Dr. Polio fought the threat of a state takeover. He led JCPS through the development of a strategic plan, Vision 2020, that not only can address the concerns of the state, but it wasn't just reactive, it was aspirational. It outlined a bold vision for a learner-centered environment and experience for every JCPS kid to experience all over the district, and led the way for Kentucky. A lot of the components of that strategic plan were adopted throughout Kentucky. And soon after that, we set out more aspirational goals on our roadmap. We faced a pension crisis after politicians in Frankfurt threatened the very pension benefits that educators in JCPS have already earned as part of their public servant salary packages. Dr. Polio stood by us then and stayed, working with then JCTA President Brent McKim to devise a way for JCPS teachers to make their voices heard in Frankfurt and fight for their hard-earned salaries, ultimately
Reginald Glass.
Good evening. I'm Reginald Glass. I'm a preferred sub at Central High School, and I'm wearing two hats. One as a Central staffer and as the co-chair of the Human Relations Commission Education Committee. I'm a little nervous because my high school coaches sit there. But I want to thank you for accepting the donation from the Altamira Foundation for our science labs. Since the renovation of the school, our science labs have been inoperable. Electrical plugs don't work, water doesn't work, gas lines are not connected, and this money will go a long way in helping us get some of those facilities operational so our students can utilize those labs and learn from the experience. I know from my chemistry experience in high school, which I did poorly at, using the lab was a tremendous motivator to keep going. So on behalf of the students and staff, I thank you for the approval of this gift from Altamira. I've heard that many times. On behalf of the Human Relations Commission, we want to thank Dr. Polio for accepting our request to meet with us on a quarterly basis and listen to our concerns and have some great dialogue. And I apologize for bringing up one subject that made you squirm on a number of occasions. So like your dad, you can give me a nickname. He gave me the nickname of Poison Pen. And that issue was the fact that we need to find a way to get parents to understand their role in their child's education. Too many of our children have no support from parents, and we work very hard to overcome that as teachers, but we can't take the place of education starting in the home. So I'm sorry I made you squirm on that, but I still stand my ground on that. So thank you, and we wish you the best of luck in your next adventure. And thank you too.
Is there a motion to adjourn? Mr. Bass, seconded by Ms. Strange. All in favor? Ayes have it. Congratulations, Dr. Polio. Everyone have a good night.